Elon Musk, Richard Branson, Common, John Travolta, Steve Tyler are just some of the names he's rubbed elbows with. He famously quoted, "If there's no passion, there's no point." Get your questions ready because my guest today is none other than Steve D. Sims.
This is the Nico Lagan Show. Warning. Warning. This show contains explicit content. Listener discretion is advised. Real, raw, and shooting you straight. This is the Nico Lagan Show. And now your host, Nico.
This episode is brought to you by the Alpha Creator Blueprint. If you are a masculine man ready to level up your social media, visit tacblueprint.com to find out more. Steve D. Sims, what's going on, brother?
How you doing? Good to see you, man.
Good to see you again, man. Love your haircut. I love your haircut.
Specially polished for this morning. I know you're proud. I know you have standards.
Yeah, no, man. I can see my reflection in it. Jeez, hold on. So, I was on your website getting ready for this morning, and I was just looking at some of the pictures, bro, that you have with people. It's amazing. Like, how does somebody, especially a British guy, gets to rub elbows with so many guys? Like, man, you were with Elon Musk, Richard Branson, like just those two names alone. And you had a podcast with Branson, right?
It actually started off with me being a doorman for a She nightclub in Hong Kong. The bottom line of it is most of us know what it's like to be poor. Not a lot of us know what it's like to be wealthy. Because wealth, if you're a millionaire and you're in, Idaho, you're doing all right. If you're a millionaire in Manhattan, you're broke. So wealth has different benchmarks anywhere you go. I never had any money, and I was a doorman of a nightclub, and I had this yearning aggravation. Why don't I have any cash? It was in the early 90s, so I didn't have Instagram to point out how inadequate my life was. But I needed to be able to socialize around with people that, in my eyes, had all that shit together. All right. So I wanted to go out and I wanted to meet affluent people. And so I just started, going, hey, I know a nightclub that's opening up on Thursday. Do you want me to get you in? And I started networking around wealthy people just to try and get their attention. And here's the key thing. I know I'm a stunningly good looking guy, but when you are actually the solution to somebody else's problem, they don't give a fuck what you look like. So I was now the Google before Google of Hong Kong nightlife. And then I started throwing my own parties, not because I was a social butterfly. Nothing puts me out in hives more than having to go to a network party. But I wanted to associate with wealthy people, give them something they liked, so I could turn around and go, hey, Bobby, how did you start in shipping? Oh, how did you build a real estate? How do you hire? And I was podcasting before podcasting existed. I never expected it to go as far as it did. But from that nightclub in the early 90s in Hong Kong, Wan Chai, I ended up launching, people called me the Mr. Fix-It, I know a man. And then, of course, the word concierge became very popular in 2000. And I became the concierge to the rich and famous, which is a lie. I was a concierge to the richer and unknown, people that you've never freaking heard of that own things like countries. I was literally working with these people, making things happen, but I always said it was a Trojan horse. I was doing what you needed just so I could find out how you managed to do this, build loyalty, expand your business, and it just grew. And I ended up having conversations with the most powerful people in the planet because of it.
That's insane. Huh? Those are the type of people that, as you said, are unknown. They're unknown to regular people because they don't broadcast their names out there.
Yeah.
There was a total different game, right?
But here's the daft thing. Actually, I'll give you a perfect example, and I'll bring up Branson. I had a client of mine, and he was, let's just say he was a New York family member. We'll leave it at that, okay? But he was a big fan of Richard Branson. And I was thrown an event in Los Angeles. I wasn't living in LA at the time, but Richard was going to be at it. So I flew in. I brought my client in from New York. Client wanted to meet Richard Branson, and I knew, where we were going to be meeting him. Richard gets up from his table, starts walking through, and it was an event that everyone knew Richard was at. So he's doing the two-step shuffle, one step, take a selfie, one step, he's had a showboat, he's doing this kind of thing. It was a charity event, so he knew his place. It was run by his mum. But he's walking towards me. And as he's walking towards me, my client, who's a big, strong man, okay, starts to get intimidated and starts to bow. Now, if you notice, when people meet people that are very important, very powerful, they naturally just lower their shoulders, maybe not their head, but they start to sink a little bit. And there's this head above the other head kind of pecking order. And I saw him do it. Now, my client's very wealthy, very powerful, very smart. I needed him to meet Richard on a level. I didn't need him to start lower. It's very hard to meet someone as an equal when the first thing you do is stick them on a pedestal. So
Yeah.
as Richard's coming towards me, I had no other option but with my left hand smacked my client on the back of the head. Okay. And I'm not kidding you. He looked at me like he was just about to kill me. All right. But in that split second of him looking at me and I'm thinking he's going to swing one, Richard gets in front of us and I was able to go, "Oh, Richard, I'd like to introduce you to my friend." And he turned around and of course he was upright. His chest was out and he met as an equal, level-headed, eyeball to eyeball, and they entered into a conversation without him bowing, without him being a fangirl, and and I think they ended up doing business together. I know they actually hung out with each other, but it's funny how we actually meet people not as equals, but that fanboy situation doesn't allow us to actually connect.
That's very, I can understand why. At a certain extent, I understand how intimidating it must be to meet somebody like Branson, because you look up to those people and you're just, oh damn, he's actually right there. Are you serious? Is he really right there? So they get intimidated because we do tend to put people on pedestals. But
We absolutely,
how?
yeah.
But
I,
how?
sorry.
Like personally, I don't care. Like personally, I look at everybody in a way: can I kick your ass or not? This is normally because at the end of the day, remove everything. If you and I are in an arena and I need to defend myself or I need to make sure I win, this is how I gauge people. I look at people and I'm like, okay, sure, you're smarter than me, no problem. You're richer than I am, no problem. Remove that, what happens? If you and I are surviving, so it tends to lower everybody else to my level or bring mine to theirs. I'm not sure. That's a good question. But how did you deal with it? Because considering all the people that you've dealt with, how did you stay level headed?
Um, I had nothing to lose. I was a
Mm,
roughneck bouncer on a shitty nightclub. So I had nothing to lose. So I actually, if you remember the 80s, anyone that ever worked in kind of money surroundings, whether it be an art gallery, a car dealership, a jewelry store, a freaking handbag store, there was, "Oh, good afternoon, sir." There's an old joke that the richer you get, the more British you get. There'd be this fake accent that would kind of come on. And money breeds intimidation. And that's why
mm,
when you walk into like a Gucci store, I wrote a book called, I'm not plugging it, but I wrote a book, I won't even mention it. And in there was a story about my mum that was intimidated to walk into a Gucci store in London. There were doormen on the front of this Gucci store, and she literally turned around to me. She went, "That's not for them. That's for other people. You know, we can't go in there. That's not for us." And I
mm.
always remembered that she was intimidated by that. And so with me, I wanted to break through that intimidation. Now I said to you, and if you rewind this, I said I wanted to talk to people that looked as though they had their shit together.
Mm.
I went into a party once. Funny enough, I went into the party was with Richard Branson, and we went up in the lift. The lift door opens up. We walk into the room, and Richard turns around and says, "Great, we're in a room full of failures." Now, this was in London, and some of the most powerful names and faces from all over Europe were in that room. and he just called them failures. And I was like, oh, fuck, Richard wants to throw it down. Why the hell is he starting to kind of like throw hate and stuff like that? And he turned around and he said, no, 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 you're reading it wrong. He said, everyone in here is a serial failure. It allowed them to be
Mhm.
refined, not
Yep.
defined. And I thought, shit. And so, quite
Mhm.
simply, you say about Richard Branson, Elon Musk, these people are spectacular at one or two or maybe three things, but they still shit in the pot. They still get drunk. They still can't make a good cup of coffee in the morning. Just they're good at certain things, and we halo them. But for everything else in the planet, they're just normal. I remember, and I spoke with a guy called Roger Daltrey, who's the lead singer of the Who. I don't know if many people know that band over here in the States. I think they do. And
They
Rod,
do. Even
right,
I know who they are. Yep.
right, okay. Rod just said that he would do a concert and he'd have like 20, 30, 40,000 people at this concert. And then he'd go home 2 days later and the wife would kick him out of the room because it's trash day and he's got to put the trash out on the road.
Mhm.
And so there's the normal versus the halo. And for a lot of celebrities and a lot of powerful people, they have trouble with that halo complex. And the good thing about me is I'm just turning up. This is Steve Sims. I'm on a motorbike. I'm looking like this. And I'm like, right, Elon, what's the problem? What do we need to solve? And as I say, when you turn up as the solution of someone's problem, they don't care what you look or sound like.
There's somebody that told me years ago there's no such thing as a great man, just great ideas.
And great action. The differentiator today is the great action. And the sad thing is today, and we were talking about it a little bit earlier before we went live, there are brilliant ideas out there with zero implementation, which are about as useful as secondhand toilet roll. In today's world, those
Oh, that's
ideas,
disgusting.
yeah,
That's
well,
just disgusting.
sorry about that. Yeah, by claim to fame, I've disgusted you. But
No, I'm not disgusted. I'm just saying, how would that work? I'm very visual. I'm like, can you really do that? That sounds disgusting.
today we're worried about putting our ideas forward for the immediate impact of stupid people slapping us down. And the downside today is that if we have an idea, rather than us getting around the room and going, hey, I've got this idea. What do you think, guys? Support me, help me, and have you challenged.
Hmm.
You've got all of these crabs in there going, oh, that'll never work. Don't be stupid. Stick to your lane. Don't be an idiot. If you put yourself out there, people are going to throw hate. And we're scared of trying. And we actually try to stand out by first fitting in. And if you look at everyone out there that we revere today, you know, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, anyone you want to talk about, any name in your head that you go, that person, Dana White, whatever, that person, you go, wow, not a single one of those fits in or cares what you think.
This is the amazing thing. As soon as you realize that the people that matter don't care because they're busy doing other shit, that the
Yeah.
only people that hate on your stuff is people that have nothing else going on, it's a very liberating realization. Because you know now that it does not matter. It really, who cares? Just yesterday, to give you a perfect example, yesterday I posted a live, like a live just showed up because I live stream everywhere. I'm trying to figure out which platform likes it better than others. And there's a girl that started commenting saying, you have no comment on your video. What's wrong with you? You're an idiot. I responded to her and I'm just like, actually, now I have two comments, yours and mine. So she responded again, and then I tell her, I'm like, I really appreciate what you're doing because you commenting on my videos, good or bad, the algorithms does not know the difference. All it sees is activity. So by you commenting, you are helping me grow my brand. So thank you very much for what you do.
Yeah.
She had commented on like 4 or 5 other videos. After I said that, she deleted every single comment that she has. This Once people start realizing that this is the type of people you deal with, 30, 40, 50% of the comments I get are from idiots.
Yeah.
S
I've
once
always
you
said
start
I've always said that, most of the hate I get is from people that can't afford me. And that just makes me smile.
So is that something you still help your customers with? Because the imposter syndrome is present everywhere, right? Everybody has it to a certain extent. We
Yeah.
have it probably in presence of others. Like as you were saying earlier, you meet somebody and you're like, holy fuck, who am I
Mm.
to be in the presence of this guy? How do you deal with it? How do you normally help your clients deal with this?
Well, so we've all been through it, and as I said, I ran. There was a beautiful quote by Wall Street Journal that said I was the most connected man in the world that you'd never heard of. So I built up this massive concierge firm looking after these clients, and we used to go through the billionaire list in the LA, not the LA, the UK Sunday Times, and pretty much 50% of them would be our clients. So, we had this massive Rolodex of the most powerful people in the planet, but it was always just me. And then I stopped the business and I released a book, not thinking it would go anywhere. And then all of a sudden I had people coming to me going, how do you work in it? I noticed that everybody goes through that imposter syndrome. Everybody gets nervous. And you said earlier about you look at people and you go, could I take you in a ring? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So I used to fight kickboxing, wushu kwan when I was young. I used to fight for the British team. I now race motorcycles. I'm getting older, so my competitive edge is kind of getting a bit slower now. But I was racing 2 Sundays ago with my son. And when someone tries to overtake me on the motorcycle track, the
Screw you.
switch goes and you're like, let's go. And you forget the fact that you're 58 years old, fat as fucking, you shouldn't be doing it. But you go. Uh, that keeps you alive. It's that moment that keeps you alive. Now, I thought to myself, when I walked into a room, and it's all about reframing. When I walk into a room and I see a lot of powerful, apparently successful, and I've met people that are crying, that they're very successful, very powerful, but something's going wrong in their life. Not everyone's got that shit together. No one's life is as perfect as it is on Instagram. Okay. When you
Mhm.
start realizing that, you realize that everyone is a human being and things go wrong. So when I'm in these kind of environments, and these are really powerful, really successful people, and I'm feeling intimidated and I'm feeling uncomfortable, I realize then that that's the room I need to be in. Because you see, I could win a boxing match with a 3-year-old, but what's that going to do for me? But
Mhm.
getting into a ring with Tyson, now I'm leveling up. I'm losing up. And that's what I always try to do. If I get into, and I'm terrible for this, absolutely terrible. I hate networking events. So if I go to a mastermind event or something like that, and I do a lot of professional speaking all over the world, if I sit at a table, I will do a cold stare and chat with everyone at that table really quick. I'm
Mhm.
probably annoying. I'm like, hey, where'd you go? What are you in here for? Who are you doing? Why did you pay for this? And I will do that thick and hard because I want to know within 2 minutes, do I want to stay at this table? And if I get idiot answers, I find that because I'll do that and someone will be, because this is the funny thing. I turn up in a black t shirt, people look at me with the earrings and stuff like that. People don't want to talk to me. Seriously, people don't want to talk to me. And then I'll go up on stage and then they're fucking fangirling and they want my autograph, you know?
Yeah.
But at the beginning, they don't know who I am. So if I get the cold shoulder, I'll be like, you guys and folks, you have a great day. And I'll piss off and I'll go to another table. I don't care if that's the table I'm supposed to sit at. I'm not wasting my life for them. And I'll go and sit at another table until I find a table where we're starting to communicate. And I'm like, "Oh, I can stay here." So I'm a great believer that if you are getting that uncomfortable imposter syndrome, that's your body and head telling you that's the room you need to be in because the other rooms aren't going to help you. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
You know, this is interesting because I was in sales for more than a decade, and I'm not your typical sales guy. I'm covered in tattoos. I'm always at the gym. I'm bald headed. I say what I think, and one of the things that I've always had to deal with is the fact that I did not look the part. And you know, when we spoke last, you were talking about how you do wear black t-shirts, you do wear whatever makes you comfortable, and if and I remember, and I'd like you to tell that story again, but I remember you saying that you showed up in a suit once and it's the
Ugh.
biggest mistakes you've ever done. It's the biggest mistake you've done.
So why bring up my dark moment? You're an evil man. Um,
Bro, bro, come on. Come on. Of course, we're gonna talk about what
right.
makes but
So
it's a great realization to have, though. It's
it
very
was.
important for people to
It
realize
was.
because
Yeah.
now I've always refused to get my hands tattooed. Anything I could not hide by a suit, even my like, you look at my chest, it's in a way where my I could unbutton the first button of my shirt of my dress shirt with
Right.
the suit, and it wouldn't show. But
Right.
now I have my hand, I'm going to get the other hand done, I'm gonna get my knuckles, and I promised myself I would never have to wear a suit even though everybody else I will show up in a white T-shirt with Converses and a pair of jeans, and I don't care.
Well, let's. I like wearing a suit. You know, if I'm going
Yep,
out with the wife
yep,
and I can throw a nice shirt,
same here.
I'll do it. But the difference is I'm wearing the suit and the suit's not wearing me.
Mm,
Years and years and years ago, I would always tell, and here's the thing: I don't have a car. I am the proud owner of a beautiful collection of motorcycles, and I still go. And I've gone into some of the biggest offices in the planet. And because of my notoriety within the motorcycle community, I will literally arrive in Japan, Switzerland, and there'll be a manufacturer that will lend me a motorcycle while I'm there. Um, and so I will turn up to my meeting, leather jacket on, crash helmets on the desk. What are we going to do? And so I would do that. And I was growing and I was focusing on my clients and I was focusing on the fulfillment and I was focusing on the questions and I was focusing on the relationships. I wasn't focusing on me and what I looked like. And in
mm,
today's world, sadly, everyone's focusing on what they look like. You know, they're on, is my hair okay? You know, am I sounding okay? Can I do my chicken dance in my little bikini okay? And all that bullshit, the fucking stuff that doesn't matter. So
mhm,
I was working on the clients. I was working on the point of being the solution to everyone. I wasn't working on the fact that I was just a common lad from East London turning up on a motorcycle. That to me was irrelevant. And then I got this contract with this little car company called Ferrari. Okay. And I had to work for the Monaco Grand Prix VIP parties for Ferrari. Okay. Pretty damn good gig, you know? And I'm like,
mhm,
yeah, this is great. And for anyone that doesn't know, the Monaco Formula One race is about 10 days after the Cannes Film Festival. So all the celebrities that are hawking themselves at the Cannes Film Festival, you know, the Brad Pitts, the Clooney's, the Terminators, Stallone, all of those people, once Cannes Festival finishes, they pop over to the Monaco Grand Prix. So
mm,
it's infested with all the Hollywood A-list. And we had most of them at the Ferrari parties. And I was at this bar once, and there was this guy. And here's the annoying thing. I don't even know the guy's name. You know, whenever you go to a bar regular, there's those characters in the bar that you
yep,
go, hey, you don't know their name. You would never talk to them outside of the car park. They don't matter in your life whatsoever. You don't even know if it's the real, hey, Dave, Bill, buddy. You don't know nor care. So this guy walked past me and he'd heard that I'd got this gig. And he was like, hey, Steve, you know, you got this gig with Ferrari. Oh, good on you, man. And I'm like, oh, yeah, cheers. Yeah, it should be good. I take it you're not going to go like that. And I went, what do you mean? And I was at the bar. I was on the bike. Crash helmets on the bar. And he went, well, you got to dress a little bit smarter than that if you want to fit into there. Here's the horrible thing. I fucking listened to it. I
mm,
went home that night and I laid in bed and I thought to myself, I can't turn up to Monaco Grand Prix in a black t-shirt. Now, I've been doing my business for like 8 years. I was now connected to some of the biggest brand jewelers, fashion brands in the planet. I was doing pretty well. I had a beautiful apartment. My wife had a Range Rover. I had motor, but life was good. And I listened to this prick at the bar. And that's the problem with our weaknesses is we 9 times out of 10 will receive advice from people that we shouldn't be listening to. And I went out the following day in a blind panic, bought 3 suits. I bought a watch that was the price of my parents' house back in England. And I went to Monaco dressed up in these absolutely amazing suits, this expensive watch. And on this party, There was Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. That at the time were doing the Rambo and the Terminator. All these were the top two action movie stars in the planet. And I'm at the bar with these two guys. Now, that would have been fantastic. And photographers going around, and we got a photograph taken. And then I get back to my home, and I was living in Switzerland at the time. And I get back home, and then like a few weeks later, I get these photographs sent to me. And there was a picture of me at the bar in my suit with Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I realized I wasn't in the picture. I
Mm,
realized that this prick who had dressed up, this facade, was in the picture. We have often said, me and my wife, and that was 1997, so that was a fair few years ago. We've always said that it's the greatest party that we didn't actually go to. And I suddenly realized that I had sold myself out based on the review from someone who I don't even know what their first name is. And truthfully, I got drunk badly that day. In fact, I locked the office door and I went on a bender for 3 days in my own home. And friends turned up, kicked the door in. I had to go to the hospital. Um, I was in a really bad state. I thought that I was strong enough that I would never sell myself out. And that's exactly what I had done. And when we got back home, we got rid of the suit, hooked the watch. Um, and I said to my wife, I said, I am never going to sell out the most valuable thing on the planet, me. I'm never going to do it. And I went back to the motorbike, went back to the jacket, and I was happy. I was so happy because here's the weird thing that I want every listener to understand out here. It takes zero effort for you to be you. And in a cynical, skeptical, almost hatred filled world that we're in, our first response to anything is hatred. I hate this guy. I'm cynical. Oh, what is this guy? What's he going to try and sell me? We're incredibly skeptical as a planet today. If you can stand up and go, hey, I believe blue's the greatest color in the planet. I believe Taylor Swift is the greatest artist. If you've got an opinion, whether they agree with it or not, they respect you for standing out, standing up, and calling out what you love. And it allows people to go, do you know, I think blue is the greatest color in the world as well. And can I join your camp? And I think today we've got two things we're frightened of. We're frightened of actually standing up and saying what we think. And so what do? We stand up and we try to cast a net to grab as many people as possible. And when you try to grab a lot of people, you actually grab no one. So I'm a great believer today that I will never sell my soul. I am way too much valuable to do that. Still like to pop a suit on every now and then. In fact, I worked for Elton John for 8 years, and at the Oscars, you've got to wear a tuxedo. Fine. I got a really sharp ass tuxedo made for me, and I wore them with leather Vans. And there's pictures of me walking up the red carpet with these really cool black leather Vans on, white stripe and all. I just felt really comfortable like that.
I wish you could say that louder for the people in the back because, hey, to me, not being yourself is like lying. It's a lot harder to
Is
lie than to tell the truth because with the truth, you don't need to remember anything. It's the truth. When you lie, you always have to remember what your lies are. So good for you, man, because we definitely need more of this. Like we need more people that are going to show up in t-shirts. If that's who you are. As you said, I love suits. I love to wear suits. I have a bunch of them, but I love to wear a t-shirt with blue jeans and Converses. And now that I don't work for somebody else, I will always show up in what I feel like showing up, not what they tell me to, but what I want to. Now, that being said, let me ask you this because you've dealt with so many high end people, is there someone that kind of blew your mind that was not what you expected?
um there's a problem with famous, powerful people. Okay. And the problem's created by you. Um
Me
I
personally, I'm the problem. Did you
it
talk to my
it
girlfriend?
it's all you. It's all you. Yeah, we've had long conversations about just you. Um the problem we got today, and I was with someone at an event, and this was up in San Francisco. Very powerful person in his arena. Was he worldwide famous? No, but in his arena, he was very, very well known. And we were in this event, and I'm talking to him, and we're both kind of like telling inappropriate jokes and drinking too many old fashions and blah blah, and everything's cool, everything's relaxed, vibing good. And out the corner of his eye, he saw someone walk to him. And all of a sudden, his entire demeanor, his entire posture just went rigid. Okay. And I've had this as well with movie stars. When fans come towards them, they change because as the fan is coming to them, the fan knows the agenda. I want a selfie. I want an autograph. I want to talk to this, my favorite actor, my favorite singer. The person coming to you, they have an agenda. But you don't know what that fucking agenda is. So all of a sudden, this person's kind of like, oh, they're coming towards me. What do they need? What do they want? They're going to ask for a photograph. They're going to, and of course, the fan gets there and they're met by the person kind of like, well, what is it? What do you, and they're nervous. Okay. And then the fan walks away going, oh my God, that guy was such a, such a standard, so rigid, wouldn't talk to me. And they blast them. And so it's very weird how people are like that with famous people. So the famous people always have a problem. What do you want? Easiest way to get through is just to go up and go, hey, you don't know me? That sounds like a silly statement to make, but it relaxes people. Hey, you don't know me. My name's Steve. Just love what you're doing. It relaxes people. Get it out of the way quickly. You don't need, but I would love to get a self. I'd love to talk to you about something. Get it out of the way quickly what you want. It can allow them to make a decision as to whether or not they want to engage in a conversation. So clarity and brevity will always enable you to connect quicker and faster, as long as you are standing upright and not bowing over like it's some kind of ye old Victorian movie. But then you've got the powerful people that nobody knows. And I've had people walking down Hollywood Boulevard with me, walking down Bahnhof, that could basically buy the entire strip, everything in the strip. No one knows who the hell they are. They are more comfortable. And there's a lot of people today trying to be very, very wealthy and unknown. And I can respect why. But I suppose one of the famous people that I really like is there were two, and I'll the last one you'll know even better. Common. You remember Common, the
Mm.
rapper? Okay.
Uh, I
Uh,
introduced you with him because I've been following his career since he was just a rapper. Love plus, he has the same haircut as us. He's a
he
good-looking
does.
dude, right?
He does. He does. I was at an event and I forget who I was with, but they were very powerful. And in the audience was Common. And I went up to the bar, and as I turned around from the bar, there was Common there. Okay. And he was trying to get to the bar. I was like, I was sorry about that. Here you go. Because he needed to get to the bar. And he was immediately eyeball to eyeball. He was like, take your time, fella. I don't want to run. What are you having for drink? And he struck up a conversation with me.
Mm.
And I thought to myself, he doesn't know who I am. I don't exactly look like the classic guy that's into his rap, and he's having and we ended up leaning up against the bar and having a conversation. Now, lots of people in the room, famous, powerful, great mixture of a room. And we left. And I walked away thinking, he's one of the nicest guys I've ever had a conversation with. So I went off and I'm sitting down and I'm chatting with some friends, and we're all the new people that I just met at this table. I hadn't actually had to move table, but I did my thing again, quickly struck out the conversation, realized this was the table. And as I'm chatting, these two hands go on my shoulders and I get like this. He's like, good to see we got a table close to us. Let's have another drink in a minute. And and it was Common. And I just thought, need for him to do
Mhm.
that. But he had enjoyed the conversation. I remember the time thinking, and we did, and we bumped into each other a few times. And funny enough, I had an event in New York by the company To Me, the luggage company, and
Yep.
they wanted a celebrity that would come in that would be, good at mingling. And I was like, Common, don't even, there's a massive list. It's one, Common. get Common in there. And they retained Common for this event because he was such a bloody genuine and nice guy. And I remember another thing that kind of like amazed me, and there's nothing funnier than people, you know, people amaze me constantly, what they see value in, how fucking stupid they are, just I'm constantly amazed at people. And I had an event with Elon Musk, and this was before NASA and him got involved with each other. Um, so it was still a private enterprise. And I had this event that I'd organized with Elon Musk. And I had to go and get Elon and bring him into the room where there was about 60 people that were going to talk to Elon. And I was told to go and get Elon from his room and, bring him through SpaceX and introduce him to the crowd. And I had two clients with me there that had, spent good money with me. So I went, do you want to come and privately meet Elon Musk before I introduce him to the crowd? And they were like, oh, yeah, So I went, let's go. So I took him over and, Elon, I want to introduce you. And we were walking through SpaceX. Now, have you ever seen the internals of SpaceX?
No,
Okay, you've never seen what the factory looks like?
no, not
Have,
off. I can't think of it. No.
have you ever seen the first movie, Iron Man, with Robert Downey Jr.?
Yes.
He walks through Stark Enterprises. That's actually the SpaceX factory.
Is it really?
In fact, in that walkthrough, Elon's working on one of the fuselage.
I'm looking at it online right now. It
It
does look pretty
actually and so
incredible.
when you walk into SpaceX, Jon Favreau, who was the guy that did the movie, gave Elon, Iron Man's costume. So Iron Man's costume is actually in the SpaceX factory. But anyway, we're walking through, and I had one client of mine. He's just walking through SpaceX with Elon. He couldn't be happier. He had a big smile on his face, and every now and then, and Elon's not a chatty guy. He's not gonna, how's your day? What did you have for dinner last night? How was the drive in? He doesn't give a shit. He's not gonna be talking about that. My other client, damn, he was like the Energizer Bunny. He's like, so Elon, what are you doing? And how's that working? And, oh, well, what are we doing? He wouldn't shut up. And I thought to myself, I'm gonna have to stop him. I don't want to, but he's being freaking annoying. And he turned around, and it was at the time pre-NASA, when NASA actually had a social team engaged and retained to basically go against anything Elon Musk said within the commercial space industry. Anything he put out there, this team would go, well, there's no room in space for amateurs. This is not a free for
Mm.
all. They were literally condemning him and throwing shit at him. And there was a long time the NASA threw hatred at anything that Elon posted. And so the client turned around and said, how do you feel? And it had been discovered that they had this team. How do you feel that NASA has a team to publicly humiliate anything you say? And Elon, without breaking a stride, turned around and he said, do you know, they'll always laugh at you just before they applaud.
Mm.
That was it. That was the only statement he made during that entire walk over to the thing. I brought him in, and that stuck with me. We sadly, though, are today scared about being laughed at, aren't we? There used to be this statement years ago where it would be, hey, what would you do today if you knew you couldn't fail? Well, how many times have you failed? You say about fighting in a ring, okay?
Mhm.
When you get a smack in the nose, what does it tell you?
I'm human. I should keep my hands up.
There you go. It teaches you your guard was wrong, doesn't it?
Mhm.
And
100%.
and so we actually get refined from those failures. We advance because things don't work. We learn that the bloody kettle's hot by touching it. So why would we remove the education from our growth? I could lose all of my money today and within the next week probably get it back. Why? Because I know how to make money because I've lost it several times. I know the power of relationship. We become educated from our failures. But people, say that statement too much. I actually think the statement today is, what would you do today if you weren't frightened of people laughing at you? Because for some reason, we actually give a fuck what that prick in Ohio says in on Instagram about what we're doing. Sorry, Ohio, but I use you as an example there. You know, I've never been, so I'm sure it's very nice. But there's way too many people out there that we will never meet, like the hater you had,
Mhm.
that just have got nothing better to do with their life other than just to throw hate at you. And the idiots are not the ones throwing the hate, it's the ones that are listening to them, which is sadly you if you let it.
That's it's very interesting what you're saying because this is one of the realizations that I've had online is to not care, but just be very mindful of who you care. But you care about their opinion, exactly like you've been saying. But the worst part of all of this is that I actually asked my girlfriend to stop looking at my social because she gets insulted about this. She gets so insulted when people throw call me names, call me this, say this, because I get called sexist, homophobe, transphobic on a daily basis. And she's like, wow, people don't even know you and they can call you like that. Like it's insane that we've come to a society right now that not only do we care about what people say, but people are so, like Tyson said, we live in a world now that we don't get spanked in the face. We don't get hit anymore for our comments because we
Yeah.
can hide just behind a screen. And it's unfortunate, but it is a sad reality. And how do you think the guys you've dealt with, because I can only imagine if I get millions of views every month, the guys that get 100 million views, the guys that even get billions of views, how do they still deal with this, or do you think that they just don't care anymore, or is it a driving factor to know? Because I strongly believe that if you don't have any haters, your message sucks and nobody cares.
Well, an old friend of mine once said to me, "Be so successful, you have haters."
Mm.
So I liked that, but I want to challenge you because I
Uh-oh.
I think you're wrong. Um, you've said a few times that you don't care. I
Oh
think
man, you're telling me the same thing as last time and I didn't learn.
you didn't you
Damn.
you didn't pay attention. I think you care enough to focus on who you can help.
Mm,
Now,
yep,
if
you're
someone's
so
out
right.
there and they make a statement and I throw a statement, and I will quite often, you were saying about the algorithms, I'll have people go on there and they'll be like, oh, yeah, why should we listen to a guy that's still got an eyebrow piercing? And I'll be like, well, why does that determine whether or not I can be the solution to your problem? You know,
Mhm,
would you care to tell me? Now, the funny thing is, you're correct. For a start, I've got 2 comments on my posting, so now my algorithms are paying attention. And today we're in an attention society. Here's the thing, he may come back again and throw some more shit at me, which
mhm,
again, me or my team, and most of the time it's me, I will respond again. Now I've got a conversation going. Thank you very much, Mr.
exactly.
Algorithm. But for every single person that's throwing shit at you, you're responding, there's someone out there that's not part of the conversation that is watching how you are handling that.
Mhm,
And you may go, do you know, this guy is trying to help this guy, but the guy, and we call them haters. I like to look at them as confused individuals, you know? And so, I want to help. I care enough
mm,
to not be someone that I'm not and to not waste my time. See, I'm a great believer in being selfish. I love being selfish. Now, and I do this all the time. I'm speaking at a gig. I'm probably giving it away now, but I'm speaking at a gig in Vegas on Sunday, and I'm going to ask this question. I'm going to walk out into the audience right at the beginning, and they're all self businesses. They all own their own individual businesses, and I'm going to walk out there. I'm going to go, okay, and let's get a temperature of the room. Who in this room is selfish? Now I think it's like 1,500, 2,000 people. When I go on stage and I say, "Who in this room is selfish?" How many of that room as a percentage, say 2,000, how many as a percentage do you think stick their hand up to answer yes to that question?
2000, not even 10%.
Correct, because they look at being selfish as a bad, negative thing. Why? Because our mum told us, "Don't be selfish, share your sweets." Share your toys. Don't be selfish, share your push bike. All right? In today's world, I am not going to waste my time with someone that's going to not be aggravated enough to do something about the problem they've got. You know, I will spend hours helping someone that needs it, that is going to do something with it. But I'm not going to spend time. I had I say had, he's not dead. I got a cousin, okay? And I went back to England and my mum's there and she's sadly doing, oh, my son lives in, hey, my son, and she's doing all that kind of shit. And it's very fucking aggravating. And then during the event, I get introduced to this deadbeat cousin of mine that I've never met in my fucking life. And someone says, Steve, he's having problems. We know that you coach businesses. Can you help him out? You know, your family. Can you help
Yeah.
him? Don't you hate
Mhm.
that one? Your family. Doesn't mean he's not going to be a prick just because we've got the same blood cells. No, I'm like, all right, I'll help you. And I sat down with him and I'm like, what's your problem? And he starts unloading, and I can't get the clients and oh, this isn't working and I owe this guy money. I said, this is what we're going to do. Okay. Cause you're family for the next 3 months. Okay. Every second Thursday, we're going to get together and we're going to go through what you're working on, what you shouldn't be focusing on at the moment, what the real problem is, what needs to come in. Because quite simply, if people have a problem that can go away with money, you don't have a problem. You have a liquidity issue, and if you've
Mhm.
got clients, you've no longer. So I said to him, for the next 3 months, we're going to hit it. So for the next 3 months, I had my team every Thursday for an hour converse with him and his team with a proper structure and strategy that would get. I had them come back to me. What was it like? Well, they didn't really understand this, but we explained it. We did a video. We sent them the video, and we couldn't have. So we shared the screen and we implemented it for him. So for 3 months, my team worked on his problem. And then I went back to England again. And this was probably like 10 months later. It wasn't a full year. He's at the party. So, when he comes over, he's like, hey, Steve, hey, like we're buddies now. And I went, oh, I take it everything worked out for you. Yeah, yeah, I've got, thanks for that. I haven't really been able to work on it yet. And I'm
After
like,
10 months?
I've said to him, I gave you my team and I charge up to 30 grand a month. So I said, I gave you my team for 3 months and you're telling me that you haven't actioned any of it? I've been busy, stuff gets in the way. But when I'm ready, I'm going to reach out to you. And I said, don't ever fucking call me again unless you're going to be turning up with your credit card. And I am going to be charging you the full 30 per month. And he actually went off, told his family about it, and he got back to me about what an arrogant prick I was. Now, this is your family. I had given him 3 months of people that work for major companies to help his shit out, and I'm the arrogant prick.
Mm.
So, you can't help everyone. Be selfish enough to work with those that you can and care enough to apply it to only those that you can help. That person on the corner with the billboard that the end is nigh and that you can't get through, care enough to know that you can't help that person. Focus your attention on someone you can.
Perfect place to stop right here. I couldn't agree with you more, but that's a hard stance to take, especially when it comes to family. And I think that's why doing business with family is a hard one. Is a
Mm,
very, very hard one because your family is gonna get back to you to say, but he's family. Yeah. No.
yes.
An asshole's an asshole no matter where he comes from.
Yes.
I really want to thank you for being on the show. I want to thank you for taking the time and put some I will do you want to self-proclaim something? Is there something you're selling right now, something you're doing you want to
Well, it's not hair
share?
product. That's,
Yeah.
that's for sure. Look, if you head over to Steve D Sims, D for Deviant, as we just worked out earlier, um, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm Steve D Sims anywhere that you consume your media. I'm pretty much more vocal on Instagram, I suppose, but you can find out about my books, my events, anything, but this isn't a sales pitch. The only thing I'm daring you to do is to do something different where you don't care if people will laugh at you and see the growth you can get because the most powerful people in the planet don't care about the people that can't afford them laughing at them.
Beautifully said. Guys, if you enjoyed this show, you need to make sure to like, to share, to comment. even if they're insults. We spoke about this. It's
Yeah.
all good. Say what you got to say, but we want to hear from you. Until next time.